What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a video making a flag with just 2 pieces of wood for the face. I'd gotten a request to do this video and I was happy to give it a try. I'd love to hear any other video recommendations that you guys might have, but without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so we're starting out with this 6 foot 1x12. I'm going to try it with the 6 footer just because I didn't want everybody to have to buy an extra 2 feet just so that we can get an extra inch on the whole flag. So we got a 6 foot 1x12. I'm going to cut it exactly in half so that we'll have 2 36-inch pieces. And then I also got this 8 foot 1x4 here. We're going to cut 4 pieces of this at 18.5 inches, and then we'll cut 2 pieces at 5 inches. And the reason I got a 1x4 is because they were sold out of 1x3s at the Home Depot I went to. So normally I would get a 1x3. We're just going to use this one for now. So let's go ahead and get those pieces cut. And I'll put a quick little cut list in the description. So if you don't want to have to like write it down, you can just go down in the description and screenshot it. And then that way you can just quickly look back to it while you're building it. Alright, so now that we got these cut, I'm going to rip one of these guys at 10.5 inches and I'll rip the other one at 9 inches. Alright, so now that we got those ripped down, next up, I'm going to take my orbital sander. I got 180 grit on there, and I'm just going to go over the faces, and then I'm also going to hit these edges and then just give them a little bit of a rounded edge or a little bit of a beveled edge, and I think that will just make it look cleaner. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so next up we're gonna go ahead and torch them. I just got a Burns-O-Matic propane torch, and just remember that the darker you torch them, the darker the stain will appear on them. Alright, so next up I'm going to go ahead and get it ready for stain. So this will be pretty simple. On the top piece, the bigger piece, we're going to measure 14 3/4 inches over and tape off the inside of that line, or actually the outside of that line, and that'll be taping off the union. And then we're going to tape off all of the white stripes so that we will be able to stain the red stripes. So for the top and the bottom, I'm just going to measure 1.5 inch stripes. So I'll just measure 1.5 inches, make a mark on either side, and then I'll make a light pencil mark. And then I'll just use a straight edge, make a light mark, and then I got this 0.94 inch frog tape. I'll tape off either side, and then it will overlap in the middle. So we'll be taping off 3 stripes on top and 3 stripes on bottom. Alright, so you should end up with something like this. Make sure that you go through and push all the frog tape down on the seams just to make sure that you don't get any bleeding. And now I'm ready to stain the red. So for the red, I got this Minwax water-based wood stain. This stuff is tinted in scarlet. I got this from Lowe's. My blue is Varathane water-based wood stain tinted in navy blue. And my white is Varathane water-based wood stain just tinted in white. The Varathane is from Home Depot. And this stuff is the tintable base, so you get it off the shelf and then you have the people at the counter tint it for you. And I'll just be using a rag to stain, and usually I'll do 3 coats of each color. So let's go ahead and get staining. And I went ahead and taped off the very edges so that my stripes will continue through. If you don't want to have them continue through, you can just brush to the ends and that'll be fine. And then same thing for on the bottom edge, I'll be staining that, but if you just want to leave that wood color, then that's perfectly fine. Alright, now we can go ahead and get this tape pulled. And after we get the tape pulled, we'll have to give it some time to dry. And then we can move on to the white. All right, now we're done with the white and we will do the same thing with the blue. All right, so I gave the stain a few hours to dry and I got some masking under them, and I'm gonna spray a coat of this gloss clear sealer on it, and then we'll go ahead and give that some time to dry. All right, so while these pieces are still separate, I'm gonna go ahead and do the stars next. So I got my stencil here, and for this one, I'm gonna be using this Easy Tack Repositioning Spray. And what you do with this is just, you're gonna lightly spray it onto the back of it, and then you're gonna wait 60 seconds, and then you'll just lay it on there right where it's supposed to go, and it will almost be like a giant sticker. And then that way, when you spray the stars, you shouldn't get any bleeding or any dusting, and the star should come out really clean. And when you're done using this stuff, you just want to make sure that you hold it upside down and just spray it for like 10 seconds just to clean out the nozzle, otherwise it will get plugged up. And then for my white paint, I just got this semi-gloss white. And then to clean this stuff off, I use mineral spirits, and that seems to work pretty good. Otherwise it says you can use lacquer thinner to clean it off. But we can go ahead and get these sprayed out. All right, so now that we're done with the stars, we can go ahead and get this thing flipped over. Make sure you give the stars some time to dry. And then to get this thing put together, we got our backer pieces here. And I'm just gonna measure from either side, and I'll make marks at 1.5 inches and 13.5 inches. And then if you just make them on the top and the bottom, then you can just line these up. And what I'll do is just glue the back of these, and then I'll glue the back of the flag. And then just push down, and I got some 1.25 inch screws here that I'll be using, and I'll just put I'll put 4 in each one, so 2 down here, 2 on the top, and then 2 on the bottom of this one, 2 on the top, all the way across. And if you want to clamp these together, you can. I'll probably put a clamp on them, but I'm not going to clamp them too hard. I'm just going to get them so that they're kind of touching, but I'm not going to crank down on them too hard. And then since I'm using the 1x4, I won't have to do this part, but these 5-inch pieces, if you just line them up against the sides on the top here, if you just measure down, usually I'll measure down 1.5 inches, and then I'll put those on the top. I'll line up the top with that mark, and then that way you can put the hangers on, but I will have room for the hangers on here, so I'm gonna skip that step. All right, I got that all screwed together. I used my brad nailer here to hold them in place while I screwed them. So if you got a brad nailer, that's something you can do just to make it easier. And now the last thing while we got it flipped over is I'm gonna throw my hangers on the back. So I'm just gonna measure like 3 inches off the top, and then I'll just center them on these 2 side pieces. If you did put the 5-inch blocks in, just go ahead and center them on the blocks. Just make sure they're the same distance off the top, and you'll be good to go. All right guys, so that's it all finished up. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I do wish I would have burned it maybe a little bit darker. It is like on the lighter side. Here's one of my other flags just to kind of compare it to. And one thing that I noticed with the 2 pieces is that you can't do kind of like the individual stripe burning, because on these ones usually I'd burn them like right along the edges. So with this one, you can't really do that just because you have the 2 big boards. But then having the 2 boards does save a little bit of time with the sanding, with the torching, just because you're only dealing with 2 pieces of wood and not 14 pieces of wood. So they both have their ups and downs, but overall, I think it turned out pretty good. Let me know what you guys think, whether you think the original way looks better or the two-piece way, and just let me know how you guys feel about the two-piece, whether you think it's a good idea, whether it's a bad idea, and whether you think there's any ways I could have done it better. I'd love to hear any of the advice that you guys have. I would love to hear any other video recommendations that you guys might have. I really appreciate those. I'll go ahead and link everything that I used in the description. If you guys enjoyed the video, a like would help me out. Also subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and please have a great day.